This clip is brought to you by SaveWithConrad.com.
Well, Conrad, throw you a little curveball. The one thing, a couple of things. So the way the business was, there was the syndication business, which run its own P&L, and then the live event business. Kerry and Kevin were making fat checks. So my father never really believed a word that came out of either one of them's mouth. After a while got going, but still found it hard to believe he's really not going to go to WWF because he's making good to great money for really doing nothing. The syndication, he was the star on the show, but he wasn't the one that was, it was the business model going. But so that's one thing. Then Kerry finally, all right, he's leaving. He's doing this. He's doing that. My dad, and he'll, if you pressed him for this, he always had a soft spot for Kerry. He may not admit it. Maybe I don't know where he's at on today, but I remember having these conversations, and actually others that I talked to, he always kind of had a soft spot for big old Kerry, big old teddy bear type deal. Not so much Kevin. Well, not at all Kevin, but to my recollection, it was, hey, he's going this whole red carpet and everything. Kerry, go tell him this is your final night, and let him know that you're going to WWF, and leave it at that. I don't think the old man planned on him plugging the Reunion Arena show.
No way.
But as far as saying good night, thank you, my dad was up for that. And then good old teddy bear, like, well, I'm gonna go ahead and throw some plugs in there. But one of the interesting whole things that led up to all this conversation, not led up, that my dad was having conversations where I can remember him going, see, son, Vince McMahon wants a talent because he's short of talent right now. Can you imagine him signing up? And he would reference Kevin and Kerry's Demons, but Vince McMahon needs baby faces so bad. He's entertaining the thought of hiring these guys. He's desperate for talent. It was that kind of conversation that was going through Jerry Jarrett's mind, is that the territories had gone away. Now, again, this is late 80s. Where's Vince going to get his talent from? If I heard that once, I heard it 1,000 times during this era, because Vince had hired Hogan, all the territory guys. So where are you going to develop all the talent? So my dad, way back when, was, how are we going to create developmental talent? How are we going to create developmental talent? But yeah. And so you look at the roster with not just Beefcake's accident, but it was in a lot of ways Hogan and others, and the Hulkamania run was on the decline without question during this time.
It's amazing. We're in 1990, so this is very much the Ultimate Warrior era.
Mm-hmm.
But boy, it is amazing to think about how all of this has just evolved. But it really did kind of backfire. The Observer would write, Jarrett's card at the Dallas Sportatorium drew its largest crowd of the year, approximately 1,750. That's 1,750 fans. By the way, earlier, not too long ago, we were talking about them drawing 150. Now we're at 1,750. And while the WWF drew more fans at Reunion Arena, which is less than a mile down the road from the Sportatorium, there were only 3,000 fans there to see Kerry Von Erich's first house show match with Titan.
Same night.
That meant the WWF lost money on the promotion, because the rent alone at Reunion Arena is $30,000. However, a much bigger story took place over the weekend when KTV TV, Channel 11 in Dallas, which has carried the USWA show in a 2-hour block from 10 p.m. to midnight since the beginning of time, announced it was dropping the program effective the next month. They're going to replace it with Superstars of Wrestling from the WWF.
Bingo.
As recently as 18 months ago, the KTVT show in Dallas was the highest rated show in any of the major top 10 markets. USWA losing the slot was not a hasty decision, as both the WWF and NWA were working on getting the slot for some time, but the straw that broke the camel's back for the USWA were the continuing amounts of complaints from viewers over the past 2 months. The main complaints regarded the repeated women beating angles involving Tony Adams and Tessa, and the usage of profanity and racial slurs on the broadcast. Ironically, the day after the show was canceled, the The station set a record for complaints because of yet another angle involving Tony Adams and Jeannie, in which Tony ripped Jeannie's blouse off and she ran around in a half bra. My goodness. It's pretty remarkable when you think about the 1-2 punch here of Kerry's gone, but now we've lost our TV. And I almost wonder if Vince didn't use that in negotiations. You would assume as he's trying to put that deal together, well, we got their biggest star. We got Kerry Von Erich. That had to play into it, don't you think?
Well, you're missing one little nugget here. That's all chatter of, hey, man, they're doing Shock Jock TV and blah, 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 blah. Hey, we got the biggest star. But hey, here's another deal. I'm going to pay you. I'm going to pay to be on TV.
So Vince is paying versus a barter deal in a trade.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Vince's strategy of all the above, of I'm going to go into these markets and pay them. He tried Memphis, and Memphis is like, you ain't going to get the rating. Thank God my dad had the good relationship in these other towns. But Vince's strategy was, we're going to go pay to be on markets coast to coast. How does a programmer turn that down? They don't. The local markets, they're like, nope, that is cash that I can put on my bottom line, and I still get to sell commercials, because Vince only wants, out of 14 minutes, he only wants 7.
I want to remind you here, the crowd here at the USWA show, where it's running opposite Kerry Von Erich's debut. Can't believe this is real. Kerry in his promo, when he's saying goodbye and, hey, I'm leaving, this is my last night, a lot of fans understood to think that he would be back here on August 3rd, teaming with the Ultimate Warrior. So they didn't understand he's going to the WWF. They thought Kerry is going to tag with the Ultimate Warrior here
at the Sportatorium.
The next week, the crowd is back down to 500. But because, by the way, the WWF expected this big shot in the arm, hey, we're in Dallas, we got Kerry Von Erich. They saw 3,000 fans there, and they are hugely disappointed. But Matt Watch would write, Kerry wasn't exactly packing them in the Sportatorium, so very few of us were actually surprised. Who was surprised? Quote, many wrestlers were angry this week when paychecks come. Houses were up in Memphis and Dallas, but the paychecks were not. Oh, what a tangled web we weave.
I wonder why the houses were up. But I was sitting there thinking, as you were sort of spilling that out, Hulkamania was on the downslide. You sort of mentioned the Warrior deal. Yep. And WCW was not setting the woods on fire. This time you can probably tell me better than I can recall, but they were blowing and going across the country. Their live events weren't setting the world on fire. It was that early new generation wasn't born yet. It's again, it's the distribution transition. It's really the era was funky like a monkey, if you will.
Well, it continues to twist and turn. Joe Pedicino is going to make a weekend trip to Dallas, and now everybody's thinking, hey, maybe he's going to buy the world class promotion. Maybe he's going to buy the Sportatorium. He puts a statement out, we're not interested in the Sportatorium, and I can tell you we're not trying to buy the promotion. We are involved in some talks, but we cannot discuss that at this time. We know that's going to wind up being global. Somewhere in the middle of all this, John Tatum gets sent to prison for a probation violation. Tatum, under the terms of his probation for a manslaughter charge in an auto accident several years prior, was prohibited from using drugs. And when he was caught, it was a violation. And now he faces 2 to 5 years in prison. Other departures from the area include Tessa, who's quitting the wrestling business to go back to college and study nursing. It's unbelievable. It feels like this is almost Murphy's Law. What can go bad is.
The funeral procession is going on. The grave is the coffin's been shut. The nail went in the coffin. We got out to the funeral home, had a quick little service. That casket's being lowered. There's some dirt being thrown off. Oh, Tatum's going to prison. Oh, Kerry went to WWF. Channel 11. Whoa. Okay. Pastor is sort of wrapping things up and say, folks, I mean, you can just, again, this is pretty cool that, man, you are retelling it from a 2020 lens in hindsight, but yes, it's a game, set, match, pal.
Meltzer would write, semi-main eventers are getting paid about $100 less than what the lowest paid referee got 5 years ago when world class was a hot territory.
Hey, it's Conrad Thompson. Thanks for checking out the podcast here on YouTube. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and the notifications bell so you get a notice anytime we upload some new content. And go save yourself some money right now. If you're in a 30-year loan or you have credit card debt, it's not a matter of if I can save you money. It's a matter of how much. Find out right now for free at SaveWithConrad.com.